Damn, you are ready for shredding. Look at those nails. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Alright guys, so today we're talking about Shred. How to build a Shred werewolf. And I have a werewolf here that's not really happy, so I'm going to let him go and start the video. Alright, so a couple of words about the build itself. It relies on no uniques, even though I am using currently two. I'm using this specific one and this one. They're both great, but if you don't have them, you can use anything else that gives you additional survivability, defense, stuff like this, armor, you name it. The point is, by having additional defensive mechanisms, you rectify one of the issues with this build is the fact that you're fighting from close range, and if you don't have the damage at certain points, you might get destroyed. So you have to be careful. You need to make sure that you have the most damage reduction and armor and stuff like this as possible. Also shields, barriers, they all work. And now, this build uses 6 skills. Bloodhowl heals you, generate spirit, perfect. Wolves to distract elites. If you're in a room there's a lot of elites and for some reason you cannot take them down fast, wolves are pretty good. However, if you have this particular item, I would recommend to remove the wolves and use the wolves and use hurricane instead, because hurricane will also give additional damage reduction, which is pretty cool, and also it will grant you some extra damage. However, poison creeper, very important. It has incredibly good synergy together with the Grizzly Rage, which is the bread and butter of this build. Also, when it comes to Grizzly Rage, the reason why I'm using offhand is because it reduces the cooldown. So at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you reduce the cooldown for as much as possible, so that you can use that almost all the time. You don't have to wait, let's say, 30 seconds for your ultimate to come back. You need to make sure that it's available almost all the time, so having a lot of cooldown reduction helps. And of course, Shred is the bread and butter of the character. I also have Storm Strike, so that in the moments when I don't have the ultimate, I'll have damage reduction. It's pretty cool and useful. Now, another thing that I want to mention, the Paragon, Lust for Carnage, really important if you want to make sure that you don't have issues with spirit generation. The glyph exploit, in my opinion, is one of the best glyphs in the game, if not the best glyph, so I highly recommend you to use it. 30% currently vulnerable damage, but that's not the most important thing. When an enemy is damaged by you, they become vulnerable for 3 seconds, so you can damage them with Poison Creeper, you can damage them with Grizzly Rage, with many other stuff. Also, Heightened Malice. While there are 3 or more poisoned enemies nearby, you do 45% increased damage. This is a must. Definitely go ahead and use that. Ancestral Guidance, after spending 75 spirit, you deal 30% increased damage for 5 seconds. Again, very useful. Also, when it comes to spirit generation, this is particularly useful. Also with 1 spirit on kill. I don't really require it that much, that's why I disable it. But if you have just started the game, I would definitely recommend to go for the spirit on kill. It's really important. And here I have in this glyph socket 45% increased damage while I'm in werewolf form, which is more or less all the time. So yeah, definitely those two the glyphs that I'm using. And the third one for now is going to be this rare glyph tracker. Not only it increases the damage to poisoned enemies, but also the poison damage lasts for 33% longer, so I hope it's going to be great. If we quickly review the skills, once again, this is not really that important, I just need damage reduction. Here, Shred, the bread and butter, increase the critical chance against close enemies and the movement speed while we are werewolf. Also increase the cost of the skill, but that's not a big deal because Shred costs 9 spirit while we are in our werewolf form. If we max this particular skill, it will cost 10. So it's not really a big deal. Here, Bloodhowl, nothing else apart from Vigilance, 15% damage reduction for 6 seconds after using a defensive skill, and then this defensive skill is basically Bloodhowl. Once again, just 1 point in wolf, they're just there to distract. We don't rely on them to damage, they're distracting and they're spreading rabies because I have this particular legendary aspect. Poison Creeper, it's important to max it out. It deals very good damage. It also increases the critical strike chance by 20%, which is huge. Companions do 30% bonus damage. Here I have poisoned enemies slow by 24%, very important. Poisoned enemies take 30% increased critical damage, important. And critical strikes to werewolf deals 23% of their base damage as poisoning. Also, we have defensive posture, increase the fortify you get. It's important to be fortified almost all the time. And here the reduce the duration of control impairing effect by 9%. Triple this effect while we have fortify for over 50% of your maximum life. So basically this goes like this. If you are caught while your ultimate is on cooldown, this thing might save your life. So it's important as well. Of course, Grizzly Rage and the Lupin Ferocity, those are self-explanatory. For the spirit boons, 10% reduced damage from elites, critical strike damage, also extend the duration of the ultimate, and make sure that they heal with shape-shifting skills. If we quickly review the items, once again, this one is pretty important. If you have that one, I would go for this particular legendary unique item. However, I'm not doing that on purpose because I want to build, I want to show something that almost every single one of you can do. Also, the Mad Wolf Glee, again, you can replace it with anything that gives defensive mechanism, barriers, stuff like this. Here, while dashing, Shred seeks out nearby poisoned enemies. That's important. Your dash is basically enhanced, so make sure that you dash as much as possible. This one is also important because you're unstoppable with while you're the werewolf. So if somebody's blocking a corridor and you just want to run through them so that you can do the dungeon as fast as possible, let's say that you're chasing renown, stuff like this, then this particular aspect is very important. Critical strike to trade you 30% of the damage dealt as lightning damage to the target and surrounding enemies. And here I have your core skill deal up to 34% increased damage based on the amount of fortify. So the more fortify you have, the more damage you're doing. Those two are basically self-explanatory, and I already talked about the companions. So without any further ado, let's jump into battle. I want to fight a dungeon that is kind of a little bit more difficult. So let's take this one and see how we're going to perform. Probably not going to do the whole dungeon, but I'm just going to demonstrate how the build works. You cannot do that. And currently I am without ult, and if this is the case, I shouldn't be around any fight. I need to make sure that I'm very, very, very far away from them. And yeah, okay. Let's see. Okay. Also, basically making sure that your dash is always the correct thing. If you're dashing, remember you trigger this with the additional poison damage that you do, so it's always beneficial. And another very important thing is to track the cooldown. Currently the cooldown of your ultimate, my ultimate is going to expire anytime now. There we go, I have just 20 seconds. So if I manage to get another item, probably on my, I think the amulets also can give cooldown reduction. So if I'm able to get another 10% cooldown reduction, I will have probably 17 or 80 seconds without ultimate, which is perfectly fine. 20 is borderline possible. Let's say, yeah, it's borderline just okay. But 17 is even better. 30, which was the original thing, was pretty bad. So another thing that you have to be careful is if you're fighting those bosses that have vampirism, it's really, really important not to make sure they heal everything. So yeah, he's dead. And yeah, basically in a nutshell, this is the build. It works pretty fine against bosses as well, which is just okay. The only drawback, as you can think of now, is that again, you're taking a lot of damage since you are close ranged. You need to make sure that you work on your damage reduction. Also, the cooldown reduction of your ultimate is important, and if you don't have your ultimate on, I wouldn't engage. Currently I don't have my ultimate on, I'm not going to engage because he's going to freeze me, and if this thing happens, going to ping me down and destroy me. But if my ultimate is off, as you can see, I one-shotted this elite. Oh, I didn't actually, he survived, I didn't see that, sorry. Anyways, I think he's dead now. Is he dead? I think he died, but he didn't drop anything though. Oh, he teleported again. Oh my god, this coward. Okay. Now he's dead. Alright. So, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play a part where I'm basically fighting a boss, so you can see how the build performs against bosses. And if you wanna go ahead and play Shred Druid, go ahead. It's very, very fun. Jumping all around, like a pretty action-packed build, and I definitely like it. Once again, if you ask me whether it is better than the Tornado Werewolf, no, it isn't. However, if you want to have fun, go ahead for this one. And again, I haven't been able to test the full potential of this build, so probably I'm going to do another video once I am, let's say, once I've tested everything and I can definitely tell you, okay, this is the best Shred build that I came up. Again, I could definitely make it better even now, but I decided to show something that everybody can use without relying on specific uniques. Again, those two uniques are not mandatory. You can replace them with anything else. Of course, if you have those two, it will make you stronger. But again, not really that important. Build works. Okay. Now basically, there's not a big secret. You have to dash and destroy the boss. And you can here and there just use Blood Howl, and that's it. This boss is 9 levels above me. It wasn't really difficult, not at all. Of course, the damage can go up, and I'm working on it at the moment. But at the end of the day, what did I get? Alright, I don't need that anyways. Alright, so is Shred worth? Is it a viable druid build? In my opinion, it is. However, if you ask me whether this is the best druid build, I have to answer no, it isn't. Definitely it is not the best druid build. However, it is ton of fun to play. It is by far my favorite druid build. I enjoy playing it ever since I started using it probably 10 levels ago. And from there on is getting even better and better. The only problem I have is that I struggle if I try to attempt Nightmare Dungeons more than 15 levels above my level. The reason why I struggle is simple, because I usually will get one-shotted if I engage a huge group of elites. However, as you can currently see, if you want to do regular champion demise, if you want to do Helltide, it's not going to be a problem at all with this build. If you want to attempt Nightmare Dungeons all the way to 15 levels above your level, you're going to be kind of fine. I'm saying kind of because in certain situations it might get rough if you, again, don't have enough damage reduction. Another thing that I want to mention is that the build will actually become better, definitely better, if you use Tempest Roar, so you can get additional damage reduction and all the utilities coming from the Hurricane. The problem is that if you get Tempest Roar, in my opinion, it's much more better to go for the Tornado Druid if you're looking to be to a build that will make you more effective. Because Shred will always have this problem. If you lack the damage to destroy your enemies in one go, then you're going to get destroyed. You're going to get one-shotted. If you don't one-shot them, they're going to one-shot you. It doesn't matter how fast you are. It doesn't matter that you're immune to CC. They're going to one-shot you. That's probably the biggest problem with Shred. Apart from that, it's extremely fun to play build once again. It has amazing mobility. And yeah, it's basically a viable build in my opinion. However, is it the best? Definitely no. Alright, I've seen everything so far, but I've never seen the Butcher actually running away from me. Look at this, he just runs away. I believe he's scared, guys. But why is he not hitting me? Like, seriously, it seems like he's running away from me. Oh my god. Why is he running away from me, guys? Did I scare him? Oh my god. Anyways, this is going to be all for you today. See you next time. Take care.
Perfect.